GPT-5 is here and there is excitement everywhere, there is some disappointment, and there is a lot of mixed emotions. Some say that AGI has been achieved internally, and some claim that GPT-5 now is better than the PhD candidates. That's another thing, that it still thinks that 9.11 is greater than 9.9, and as per Professor GPT-5, Tennessee has 4 T's inside it. Now I understand that this is an LLM model and math is not its forte. And the reason probably you are watching this video is you're interested about how GPT performs specifically in voice AI agents. And that is what I'll try to answer in this video using some benchmark data and just having whatever information is out there about GPT-5 so far, and also showing you the implementation of GPT-5 inside VAPI and Retell. So if you're also excited about, let's go inside. So this is OpenAI developers, and this is what GPT is all about. As GPT-4, it also has models like GPT Mini, GPT Nano, and we have a new model called GPT Chat, which is useless for our use case because this is a very limited model which doesn't have the option to have structured outputs, function calling, or fine-tuning. So without that, it cannot be used in voice AI agents. So that is off the charts right now. This is GPT-5 Nano. This brings us a lot close to what we want, which is structured output, function calling, fine-tuning, and streaming with all of these things. And OpenAI says that the reasoning is average, the speed is very fast, and this is the pricing that we have in GPT-5 Mini, right? Sorry, GPT-5 Nano. Now, when we talk about Mini, the reasoning is high, the speed is fast, and the pricing is slightly higher, and it checks all the boxes that we have to see, which are structured outputs, function callings, and fine-tuning. So GPT-5 Mini and Nano are the ones that usually would be suitable for voice AI agents, because even though GPT-5 is as a whole very good for reasoning and making one-shot vibe-coded apps, but in the world of voice AI agents, the knowledge is not enough. It has to be fast, it has to be correct, it has to be reliable, and it has to call functions and tools with utmost reliability every single time. That's what we are concerned about in our use case. So first of all, let's see what VAPI has. VAPI already has announced that GPT-5 is now live in VAPI, and it says that they are making 3 variants available: GPT-5, the new default for balanced performance, Mini, a faster variant, and Nano, workflows where speed is the absolute priority, right? Now GPT-5 uses a router to dynamically switch between fast model for simple turns and a thinking model for complex reasonings. For voice, this means we have dynamic reasoning, fewer hallucinations, better instruction following, and less psychophancy, which is more direct, natural sounding conversations that don't feel like talking to a generic bot. So latency, hallucinations, instruction following, and sounding like humans are probably the 4 things we are most concerned about when we try to use any LLM with our voice AI agents. And that's all VAPI tells me in their blog post. Now let's come to Retell, which is a more detailed information on how they are including GPT-5 on their platform. So here they start the introduction by that using GPT-5 we'll have smarter conversations at lower costs. We'll see about this when we go to benchmarks, but let's go with the flow right now. So GPT-5 is, as you know, reasoning model, and this will have deeper understanding of complex instructions, stronger context retention with multi-turn conversations, very important, and more accurate and nuanced responses across various scenarios. So I hope hallucinations are less and it can retain more context when we have much longer prompts than usual, right? Now the problem with reasoning models on a whole is, even though they are smart, they take their sweet time to come into a conclusion. And with voice AI agents, time is not a luxury that we are having. We have to balance the knowledge, the complexity, the reasoning with a very important factor called time. Because even 1 second delay can render the whole of your voice AI bot useless and customers would be frustrated. For that reason, Retell is implementing the minimal reasoning parameter of GPT-5, which means that they are preserving the reasoning capabilities while being tuned for faster response times. Like I said, we have to make a trade-off between intelligence and timing, and this is what they are telling in the next line. While it doesn't reach the full intelligence, which is not really what we need. We are not solving quantum problems on a phone, but we want the model to be intelligent enough to not hallucinate, follow the instructions, and just be reliable 99% of the time. So Retell is making a trade-off, which is the correct way to do it, of intelligence as well as the balance between improved reasoning and acceptable latency for real-time use. This right here is the most important section in this whole blog post. And for the very first time, they are deploying a reasoning model in a real-time agent. And that's exactly why I'm making this video, because I just want to see, according to benchmarks, what is the implication of using a reasoning model inside a real-time agent scenario. This is kind of risky at scale right now, to be honest. For my clients who are doing high volume calls, I'll still not deploy GPT-5, but for low volume clients and my experiments, I'll probably go with the flow right now. And like here, Retell is also experimenting how far they can push the optimization without sacrificing quality, right? So for now, GPT-5 minimal is used in the backend to balance speed and intelligence, and they'll continue refining the approach as they learn from live usage, right? And this right here is the graph that makes everything clear. So even though GPT-5 or Mini or Nano are high up on the intelligence level, they're also on the right hand side of the latency axis, which is kind of concerning if you are dealing with voice AI agents. This spot right here is still claimed by GPT 4.1 Mini and 4.1 Nano, which gives a fine balance between intelligence and latency. But again, the intelligence part will depend on how complex your prompt is, what things you want to do with your agent. Does your agent go only forward, or it user turn it backwards? Let's say a user is trying to order something and he has already placed the order on the phone. Can the user cancel it? Can the agent go back on the prompt? And can the agent retain all of that context going back and forth 2 times, 3 times? That is the true test of intelligence. And if GPT-5 can do that with low latency, it will be welcomed by everyone. So these are the benchmarks, which are exactly what I thought they would be. So GPT-5 is the reasoning model, and these are not reasoning, but text first LLM models. Intelligence, for sure, it's having more, but I don't see a lot of difference between GPT 4.1 and 4.6, to be honest. And for 3% increase in reasoning, I'm sacrificing about 280 milliseconds of latency. So far, I'm not gravitating towards GPT-5, to be honest, because this trade-off is not really what I would do in my production. This latency is much more valuable to me than increasing the intelligence level by just 3%, right? And let's see what the recommendation Retell is giving. GPT-5 offers slightly higher intelligence compared to GPT 4.1 and 4.0, but at the cost of slower response due to its reasoning capabilities. For most real-time voice agent use cases where speed is critical, GPT-5 Mini or GPT 4.1 will be a better choices. GPT-5 becomes more viable if future improvements reduce its latency, exactly what I told when I saw this comparison. So Retell and I are on the same conclusion that right now, I'm not willing to give my latency to get 3% increase in intelligence level, right? Let's see how the benchmarks do for lightweight, high-speed tasks like lead qualification and survey intake. Intelligence are all high till 4.1 Mini. Nano is medium, Mini is medium. Latencies are 800, 700, 550, 500, 650, and costs are 0.012, 0.003, 0.016, and all of that. For here as well, I think GPT 4.1 Mini is giving me lower latencies compared to 5.1 Mini with a high level of intelligence. And since these are lightweight tasks, like they don't require a lot of reasoning effort, I don't think I have to deploy a very reasoning heavy model inside these kind of agents. So let's see what Retell says. For small tasks like this, still benefit from reasoning, GPT-5 Mini is a strong choice. But if your workflow is speed sensitive, which it always is when it comes to lead qualification or surveys or something like that, and doesn't require deep reasoning, stick with GPT 4.1 Mini. So here as well, Retell and I are on the same page, and understand one thing, that the person on the other side of your voice AI agent doesn't give a crap about if the LLM is GPT 5, 4.1, 2, 3, X, 10. It doesn't matter. What matters is it should sound closest to human as possible, and there should be low latency, and it should not hallucinate, and it should do all the function callings as required, right? And for that, still 4.1 Mini wins for me so far. So in summary, so this is what Retell has to say for the benchmark comparisons, and I would agree. Now let's go to some actual benchmarks where we can verify our claims and verify if GPT-5 Mini is still a viable choice or not. So this is a benchmark for artificial analysis, which they have just released. And here is a graph which says that the intelligence index of GPT-5 minimal is right here. GPT-5 low is here, medium is here, high is here, right? So minimal somehow is still scoring lower than 4.1 in these tests, which is interesting. And these are the models that we don't have to look for if we are only concerned about voice AI agents. Let me go to this page where they have their whole benchmark in detail. So here is the latest comparison of all the models in a benchmark format. And if we see, and this was what we just saw. And let me just add the models which we are only concerned about, because we are not really using all of these, every single model out there for our voice AI agents. We are using OpenAI, we are using Gemini, we are using Claude, and 90% of the time you'll be using one of them, right? And this is where I have added GPT-5 with all these models which we actually use in our voice AI agents. Let me see if I have added everything else. I'll just remove. Okay, so let me add Gemini 2.5. Do we use Pro or not? I don't think so. Let me check. So GPT-5, 4.1, 4.0 real time, Claude 2.0 Flash, 2.5 Flash, Flashlight, and all of that. Okay. Okay, so let me check. What do we have? Claude Sonnet, blah, blah, blah. All of that we have. Mistral we don't use, DeepSeek we don't use. Okay, this is perfectly fine, which is what we should be seeing when we are concerned about the voice AI agents. So intelligence is fine. Like I'm fine with intelligence. What I want to see is the context window first. So how is the context window performing for 5 minimal? 400K. Gemini Flash can go further. GPT 4.1 Mini can go to 1 million. Very, very important point. 4.1 Nano, 4.1 can do a lot more context window, which is what we are concerned about. We can do with bigger prompts with much more reliability using these three so far. Okay, let's move on to latency. Very, very important part. So in latency, time to first answer token is the most important thing when we have to benchmark any model for the voice agents. And for this, Mini and Nano don't really look that good because they are reasoning models. And even if Retell is having the minimal reasoning effort as their feature flag for these models, I don't think they can decrease this to these levels which Flash, Gemini Flash, or even Nano is giving us, or even Mini is giving us at 0.4 seconds, 0.3 seconds, or like 0.5 seconds. Getting from 15 to 0.5 or 0.6 is pretty hard, regardless of what reasoning flag you have in these kind of models, right? Now let's go to the next thing we care about, which is end-to-end response time, right? So here we have again GPT 5.1 Mini, Nano are off the charts. Minimal is right here, but still 4.1 wins, 4.1 Nano wins, and Gemini Flash is always winning. The thing about Gemini Flash is, except for 11 Labs, I have not seen Gemini and any model of Gemini being consistent for tool calls in VAPI and Retell especially. So for that reason, most of the people I know, and myself included, use OpenAI and especially 4.1 Nano or Mini as per my use case because of the tool calling. I don't know what 11 Labs have done in their platform that they are able to do tool calls reliably with Gemini Flash, but I have not seen that happening in VAPI or Retell. But anyway, GPT Minimal gives us 5.1 seconds of end-to-end response time, which is kind of high when you compare it to 4.1, and it's very high when you compare it to Gemini, right? Next up, what do we care about? Let's see. We care about pricing. Yes, we care about pricing. What do we have in pricing? So let's say output price. We have highest as Claude, which I'm not going to use. GPT-5 Nano gives us good pricing. 4.1 Nano gives us the same pricing. 4.1 Mini gives us slightly more pricing. I think pricing is something that Retell and VAPI would be giving us as a better rate because they might be having enterprise deals with OpenAI. So this is something that I shouldn't be looking at in the benchmarks. What we should be looking at is instead, let me go back here and let's see all the graphs. Intelligence versus price. So here GPT-5 wins, but again, price is something I would not take from here. Price is something I'll take from here because these are the pricing that we will get in real life using Retell or VAPI. So probably let's go past this. Intelligence versus output speed. This is important. And here GPT-5 Nano also kind of is in the green zone with Gemini Flash. 4.1 Nano is right here. And all the usual suspects are in this quadrant. So right now, so far, I think GPT-5 Nano is kind of winning in the things that we care about with VoiceAI agents. Now it all deserves to be seen how they perform in real life. I would be doing some tests in my real life and I would update you in this video. But so far, with what I have heard in the Discord community and with people who are familiar with VoiceAI agents and deploy them as professionals, are not really seeing that much of a difference in performance or latency or intelligence using GPT-5 versus 4.1 Nano or Mini. So the conclusion for this video can be that even though GPT-5 is a state-of-the-art new model with OpenAI with a lot of intelligence, it might not be the best tool for your VoiceAI agents. If you are deployed in production, I would say don't change your model right away. Experiment, try to do more things, and as Retell and VAPI fine-tune their own implementation of GPT-5 in their backend using live data, hold your horses, don't go crazy with 5 right now because every tool has its application. And if you want to watch more videos about VoiceAI agents specifically, here is a link to the playlist. And that's all for now. I hope you got some value from this video and saw how and why you should use GPT-5 and if you want to use GPT-5. So that's all for today. I'll see you in the next one.